Okay. All right, and just like that, we are back. Hey, everybody, I am DJ Kelly Reverb. You have tuned in to This Pink Cloud. Are you getting ready to? Am I messing it up for you, Chad?
Dude,
already?
You messed it up already. I can't even find the air horn.
You can't. You can't. There we go. Are you all set now, dude?
Yeah, I'm good.
Anyway, so This Pink Cloud is a show all about recovery, mental health, all that kind of good stuff, a judgment-free zone, so to speak. And also, if you are watching us right now, please subscribe on the YouTube, and then we're on the TikTok, and we're on the Instagram. And everything is because I'm old.
Hell yeah.
All right, sitting in with me, my man, my homie, my better half.
Yeah. That was sweet.
The sunshine of
That
my
was
life.
awfully sweet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Lamont.
That was just easier to do than
Then
finding
to
the button.
actually find the air horn button.
Yeah, I'll deal
Love
with
it.
that next time.
Love it. All right, so and always love when this lady has time for us. Some people know her as Sir Ye, and some others know her as Soraya Nicole.
Yeah.
She is a Hope influencer, and she's not going to take any crap.
That's right.
Soraya Nicole, everybody. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Cool. I am good. I don't
Good.
know if you're sneaking like external footage because like
Yes.
I went home last time and I'm like, dude, she's sneaky. She's like getting like behind
Everything
the
is
scenes.
content. Everything
Right.
is content.
All right. So we've put this poor young lady through enough. She has waited long enough and dealt with our audio difficulty, but I'm sure she's used to it because she is a platinum Billboard #1 platinum selling Billboard artist. And she's in LA and she's way cool.
Yes.
And she likes electronic music and all that other good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Krista Youngs. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So basically, how this happened is I saw you go live on this guy named Liquid Todd's channel.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Under his duress, I think it seemed, and I was like watching it, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, something about AA, and I was like, oh, she needs to be on the show.
She's one of us.
She's one of us, dude.
One of you.
So, but first off, let me compliment you on the fabulous nails that you have today because I know you
thank
did
you.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's next level right there.
Yep.
Chad,
Compliment from Liquid Todd.
Chad was gonna go with those, but didn't work out today. He didn't have time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Hey, so let's hear the backstory, like, and then I want to lead up and get into as far as how you got into music and all that stuff. But let's hear the crazy young Krista Young's story.
My alcohol story.
Sure. And Xanax and bars.
Yeah. So I was born in Flint, Michigan. So there's that.
There's the water there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. And then I'm an only child, so I grew up with my mother and my father, and it was just me. And we have like a long line of alcohol abuse in my family, so I grew up with that being really prominent. And so, I didn't really drink when I was a teenager until I did. And then I kind of stopped again and I went to college and then I started drinking again, but not a lot. And then it became a lot. And I got really sick when I was, I don't know, I think I was like 25. I had this thing called pelvic floor dysfunction and nobody knew what was going on.
I don't even
So
know what that is.
Do you know what that is?
No, I do not. Please.
It's like when your pelvic floor is just constantly spasming, and I was like going to the bathroom like 60, 70 times a day. Like,
Oh, wow.
and I couldn't go to the bathroom when I felt like I had to go to the bathroom.
Ah.
And nobody knew what was going on. And they told me I had this really weird incurable disease, where the lining of your bladder disintegrates and there's nothing they can do about it. Anyway, it was horrible.
Right.
So for about 2 years, I was like kind of just trapped in my house, like super depressed until I found this specialist. And before I found him, the only thing that helped was me drinking like a bottle of Jack and smoking a pack of cigarettes. And turns out it was because my brain had just gotten used to the like tensing up my whole body,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in an apartment before that had bed bugs, and I was
Oh.
terrified. So I
Oh,
would fall
yeah.
asleep every night like this. And then my brain got used to it. Anyway, long story short, they put me on Klonopin. The whole thing got a lot better. But I still kept drinking, and I kept drinking until, God, it's almost 8 years ago.
Okay.
And nothing like crazy happened to me. Like I would send like the text messages, like
Well, but you were like, it sounds like you were trapped in your house, and I mean that's kind of not normal, and it was because of a medical condition, but then yet your cure for the medical condition was actually alcohol, right? And
yeah, and it
Klonopin.
legit worked for a minute. It
Right.
did. But I mean, then I was on Klonopin, and then Klonopin calmed my brain down, and then it calmed my body down, and it was a whole thing. But like, I think I was drinking because I felt like I wasn't enough. Like
Okay.
I was in the music industry. I felt like I couldn't sing good enough. I felt like I couldn't write good enough. I didn't feel like I was as successful as I wanted to be. Like I have anxiety, I have panic attacks, all that stuff.
Sure.
And like, I just woke up one day and I was like, I don't want to drink anymore.
Right.
And then I stopped for like, I don't know, I think it was 6 months.
Okay.
And then I was like, I'm going to try it again.
Well, I mean,
Then
just so you know, like, I mean, I would get horrible anxiety when I would travel. My first real panic attack was in the Pittsburgh airport in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and I thought I was having a heart attack for no reason, but it was because, traveling and doing all that stuff and being a performer is, anxiety ridden enough, but then you don't realize when you're drinking that the drinking also adds to that and makes you basically chase the dragon, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, panic attacks are horrible. I had my first one when I was 8.
Wow.
Good times.
And it just like affected my entire life. Like I was going to go to Berklee College of Music straight out of high school, and I just I couldn't go. I was like, I can't leave. I can't be that far away from my house. It's just so weird. So I spent 2 years at Wayne State, and then I went to Boston, and I continued to have them. I don't really get them that much anymore, but yeah, I mean, it sucked. So I quit drinking for like 6 months, and then I was like, I can totally drink again. It's fine.
I
So-
got it. I got it now.
Yeah, I'm like,
Right.
I'm fine. So then I started drinking again, and I just got so sick of like, like you said, waking up the next day and like your whole body shaking because, you're dehydrated, and then the anxiety that comes with that, and then the panic that comes with that, and like the throwing up and the text messages sent, and like, the dumb shit you do. And like, I would drive drunk all the time. Horrible,
Yeah.
horrible. And I finally, like, I woke up, I remember this, and I was in LA. I'd been here for like 3 years. And I like had I don't know, glass of wine at like 1 p.m. I was sitting outside and I was like drinking, and I was like, I'm done. And I was done.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
I would never drink again after that. And I didn't go to AA
Okay.
for like the first like 6 months. I was like, I'm good. Like, I didn't care about it. I didn't want to drink. I didn't have the desire. Like, I just didn't want to end up like my parents.
Sure.
So I didn't go to AA, but I was sober. And then I met my therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also from Flint, and she's like, I think she's like 72 now. She's like amazing. I've been seeing her for such a long time since that.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 years. And she was like, go to a meeting. And I'm like, why? Because I had been to meetings
Right.
in
You're like,
Nashville.
I don't
and
want.
like,
You're like, I don't want to.
No.
Right.
didn't
no,
wanna
I get
go.
it. Yeah. No, I get it.
It's
Yeah.
like,
It's a
all
bunch of
my
weird.
experiences
It's a
were
bunch of.
shitty.
It's a
Yeah.
bunch of weird culty shit going on, right? or like
It
so
was-
you think, right?
It was just like 5 women that combined had 1 set of teeth. And I
checks
Oh,
out.
the
That
old-
checks out hard.
want to
dude.
go back.
The old.
I didn't want to go back.
The
and
old
like,
summer teeth. So,
Yeah, it wasn't, I was like, I'm not like these people. But then I found a meeting in LA and my therapist was like, do 90 meetings in 90 days. And I was like, fine. So I went, I found this awesome meeting at 7 a.m. And like, mind you, I was not a morning person before this at all.
Mhm.
And I went every day for 90 days. And then I kept going almost every day for 2 years. And I learned a lot about myself. Like I learned how to be an adult. I learned how to have integrity. I learned how to show up. I learned how to, calm the fuck down.
right.
Not to be so entitled. I mean, I still feel entitled, but not as entitled.
Right.
And like things started happening, like crazy cool shit started happening. I got sober. I found this house that I'm in right now that like I thought I was gonna have to live in an apartment because I had 2 dogs at the time, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to take these fuckers out like every 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I was driving past this house and I was like, I had given up and I'm like, I'm gonna have to live in an apartment for a year because I got kicked out of my last guest house because they were like selling it or something.
Mhm.
And I was driving down the street randomly because I don't drive down the street. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a painter in the window and the house is empty. So I like went up to the house, knocked on the door, and like rented it the day after.
Wow.
And I bought it. I bought
Wow.
it in 2020, which is amazing.
That
and
is amazing.
I mean, I didn't really start getting my big placements until I got sober.
Right. Well, so you go to AA. So did you actually work the steps and did you actually get a sponsor while you were there or?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I did the steps. I got a sponsor. She was awesome, but she was really busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with her for like a year, and then my therapist was like, because she also obviously is in the program, and she's like, I'll just sponsor you. We'll do that as well as therapy. So like I didn't pay her obviously to be my sponsor, but I paid her for therapy.
Right.
And she's just kind of been like my backbone ever
Uh-huh.
since. Like I don't have a sponsor, I have her. So like every time I have something going wrong in my life, like I'll call her.
Yeah, so she's just she's your mental Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
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 No, she like helped me grow up. Like I would not be who I am without this woman. Like I called her yesterday on Mother's Day and I was like, happy Mother's
I
Day.
was gonna
Like,
say
Yeah.
like a surrogate mom.
yeah. She's
Gotcha.
incredible. Incredible. Everybody needs a Sandy.
I expect Sandy to walk in the room now, ladies and gentlemen. Sandy. Well, that's
yeah.
cool. Well, maybe we can just get Liquid Todd to walk in with a wig on and say that's Sandy.
I've been trying to get him to wear a wig for years.
I mean, dude, he would be rad with a nice rug like a toupee style. That would be good. I would like
they
it.
got me a mullet wig, so I went up at my work, and I work with kids in treatment, and I was like, my cousin's gonna come tell his story, and they were like, yeah, and I just walked in with the mullet and pulled my shorts up, and I was like, what's up, motherfuckers?
Love it. All right, so how does this happen? So you're thinking about going to Berkeley, which if y'all don't know, that is a prestigious music school in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking about going to there, but then that was too geographically undesirable. So tell us a little more about that.
Well, when I graduated from college or from high school, I applied to Wayne State and Berkeley.
Okay.
I don't really believe in having a backup plan. Like all my other friends applied to like 10 colleges, and I was
Sure.
like, fuck that. I'm going to Wayne State for a year, and then after that, I'm going to Berkeley. Wayne State turned into 2 years just because I had so much anxiety about leaving and
Mhm.
going away from my house. I think it's because like my mom and dad, obviously, like they were both alcoholics. They're both sober now.
Oh, okay.
But I was just very like it was very codependent and very like unhealthy, like our relationship. And so
Did
I
you
just
always
didn't-
have to go for liquor runs for your parents and stuff like that? No,
No,
they didn't.
I
Send
never
you
had to
the,
do that.
Send
They were
you to the
like
corner store.
functioning alcoholics.
Okay.
They were like, I always had a roof over my head. Like we were upper middle class. Like it was fine, but it was just like they hated each other.
Right.
So they were
there's
just
that part.
constantly fighting.
Right.
And then like looking back now, because my mom, she's Greek. So she's already like spunky as shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, why was she screaming so much? Like she would be like running down the hallway and like banging on my door. And she's like, if you don't open this door, I'm going to beat your ass. And I'm like, I'm not opening my door. Are you fucking nuts?
Right.
So like now that I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, she must've been drinking, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Got
And it really kind of, it allowed me to become like the world's greatest detective. So like I know what everything is. Like I know what Todd is doing every second of the day. Not even because I want to know, But like I hear noises and I'm like, oh, you're doing this, or like, oh, you're doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just so hyper aware now growing up in that environment that
Uh-huh.
like my intuition is really kind of like
Hi.
honed in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Well, so okay, so you go to where do you like end up starting to try to have success, and then where do you eventually have your success?
It started in my mother's womb trying to have success.
Right?
love
I was
it.
trying to get
And then-
out.
I was born for it, right? That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, I wasn't supposed to be born. Like my mom had endometriosis and she had a miscarriage, and the doctors were like, "You're never going to have a kid." And then,
Yeah. Here you are.
Nice.
That's right.
but yeah, I always wanted to do this. Like I can't remember a time when I didn't want to do this. Like a lot of my friends were like, "I don't know what I want to go to college for. I don't know what I want to do." And I was like, "Get me the fuck out of this city. I need to get out. There's nothing here that has to do with music. I want to go to college immediately and I want to do this." And so then I went to college, and I naively thought that like as soon as I got there, I was going to be a star.
Right.
A little longer.
You didn't try to go the Disney route,
What do you mean?
like the Disney route, like where Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, the Disney route.
No, because I lived in Flint. Like I didn't.
Right.
You guys didn't know.
I didn't know
No.
if they had like a try out for a week here at the local Flint Mall.
I did like a modeling thing once at the local Flint Mall, and that was about it. But
Right.
yeah, no, they didn't know anything. Like my dad worked at GM, and my mom was like an elementary school teacher. Like they had no idea.
Mm.
But I did find these like old videos
Uh-oh.
of myself playing the piano, and
Oh.
like in the background, my grandmother was like, "What do you want to be?" And I was like, "I want to be a model." And my mom was like, "And a singer." And my grandma was like, "And a musician." And I'm like, "Oh, so like I was like they wanted this for me."
This was already preordained.
Apparently, which
Yeah.
is so weird because like my mom's not really like that, or at least I didn't think she was, but I don't know.
Right.
Here I am just
Yeah.
making moves
Yeah, no,
over
I
here
love it.
trying to be successful, still trying.
Right. Hey, let's throw to our sponsor real quick, Chadwick.
Right.
We do have Max the Axe, which he is Lone Star Injury Attorneys, and that is if you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will actually take you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. They practice in Texas and California, so be sure and hit him up. He's a good dude and has always sponsored the show. And do you have your script ready? I love this because
Yeah.
we have Chad now doing the advertisement for Stepping Stones Sober Living.
Sweet.
Yeah. Let me.
Are you going Morgan Freeman?
No, I think I should go more of like. I really want to do like the South Park announcer voice.
Do it. Go for it.
All right. It's gonna seem like all right. I'll start with it and then I'll just talk normal.
Okay.
Are you or someone you know struggling with addiction and looking for a safe and supportive environment to begin the road to recovery? All right, yeah, I'm not going to do the rest of it. That's a dick move. All right. Stepping Stone Sober Living is a place to go. They offer clean, comfortable accommodations that'll help you feel right at home, and they're right next to downtown McKinney and several vibrant recovery groups.
I
And
love
recovery is a journey, not a destination. If you're serious
Right.
about your recovery, then they want to help. And you can apply online at steppingstonesnt.com, or you can call the phone number on the
Actually,
screen
yeah.
and
Actually,
ask for Joe.
I will give the phone number right now. That is 920-454-0569. Once again, that is 920-454-0569. And that commercial is brought to you by
ChatGPT.
No, I was going to say AI.
Yeah.
So AI had written that commercial. So when AI talks about they, who is AI talking about?
Ooh, that's.
I don't know. It's deep,
Yeah.
dude.
I wish I had like an X-Files.
An X-Files
sound to throw in there.
Right. I love it. Well, anyway, so back to our guest, our lovely guest. So how does one become like a number one platinum selling artist? I mean, obviously you have to have some kind of history of releases, and where did your first success happen?
So the platinum #1 in Billboard is because I'm a songwriter.
Right.
So when I was at Berkeley, I met my ex-fiance, who we're still really good friends, and he produced like all of my like first projects. And so I was releasing music as an artist, and I was getting those songs placed on like all the reality TV shows and stuff, like, the Kardashians and whatever. And we were in Boston, and I was like, I need to get out of here now because I'd been there for like 6 years, and I was like, I got to get out. And I was like in a wedding band and a cover band, and I'm like, I'm gonna die.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know
I got to
that
get
feeling.
out. And he was like, let's go to LA. And I was like, I'm fucking terrified of LA. Let's go to Nashville. We know people there. And he
Right.
was like, okay. And he's like Jewish and like, you know, whatever. He hates Nashville. So he's like, fine. So we go to Nashville for a year and a half. And, you know, I continued doing what I was doing in Boston and releasing music. And then
Bluetooth disconnection.
sorry.
That's okay.
He had a friend, like a jazz piano player who is also one of my really good friends that was working on an album and needed like a top line, like a melody and vocal.
Okay.
I wrote it. And my ex at the time was like, you know, you're really good at that. You should write songs for other people. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I like remember the day we were at the dog park and I looked at him like never doing that. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, fine, I'll do that.
Right. When you go, oh yeah, there's this thing called writer's credit, and then there's also this, and like every time somebody sings happy birthday, that person makes money.
Yeah.
Whole part of
Coins
it.
just fall out
Yeah.
of the sky.
I believe that's
Right.
what the book calls emerging remorseful with a firm resolution.
So weird. And I just started and like I wrote every single day for a year and a half. I did all the writers rounds in Nashville. I met a bunch of other writers, a bunch of other artists, like producers, all that stuff. And then I did a side project called Now in Neverland, which was like very Nashville with a guy friend of mine. And we got on the radio.
Mm.
And then I pieced. I was like, okay, I'm done. I got on the radio. Like the holy gates of Nashville's music industry are not going to open their doors for me. Like it was tough.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like they have their like certain crowd of people they work with, and like if you're not part of that circle as a writer, like you're not gonna get anything. And
Yeah.
so
Right. It's like definitely like a boys/girls club.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I wasn't part of it. And to be honest, I'm like, whatever, I don't really care. So I left.
Right.
I left. I got a big check from ASCAP.
Mm.
Don't ask me how. I got 14 grand. Like that was big for me back then. I got
Oh, yeah.
14 grand. And I was like, so I called them and I'm like, what's this for? And they're like, oh, we don't know. Okay. So then like I called again and like at like the third time I was about to call, I was like, I should stop calling. Like
Right.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna take the money and go.
Right.
So I used it to move to LA. My fiance and I broke up. We moved to LA together
Okay.
and both found apartments, still are really good friends. We're friends back then, whatever. And then within a week of landing in LA, like pulling up in LA, I met my mentor, David Quinones, who is an amazing vocal producer, songwriter, producer. And he owned something called the Writing Camp with Erica Nori and Evan Bogart, who wrote Halo for Beyonce.
Mhm.
So I started going over there like all the time, and he introduced me to a bunch of different artists and other producers, and it just kind of like spiraled from there. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to be so easy. I'm going to get like a #1 in a year. Then I can go back to working on my stuff.
Right.
Bam. That's not how that worked for me
Yeah.
Yeah.
at all. I was broke as shit for the first 3 years I lived in LA, and I was still drinking, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sad. Like, I mean, I was excited to be here, but I was like, I was impatient. And I was like, when the fuck is this going to happen for
Well,
me?
yeah,
Like,
we all, as artists, we all have that, delusions of grandeur. And then, we also expect it to happen on our timetable, which is a narrative that we've created in our own head,
which is right now.
Yeah, which
Right.
is
Yeah.
yesterday. Come on.
Well, because we know how good we are, right? So
Right.
it's like, what is wrong with everyone else?
Right.
Like, why
Yeah.
aren't you getting it?
Don't you
So,
fucking
yeah.
know who I am?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So anyway, I got sick of working for free after about 3 years. And a friend of mine, Maya, she'd written songs for Britney Spears and Lil Wayne. And like, she was like, girl, I make like $300 every quarter from ASCAP. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting paid that much for these songs that you wrote? And she's like, no. And I was like, let's start charging. Like, let's just start charging to write. And we did. And like, it was incredible. It was like, again, a week turn, like it took a week to get our first gig. And then after that, it was like, oh my God, we just made like $3 grand this month.
Mhm.
And then we're like, oh my God, we just made like $5 grand this month. And then we're like, oh shit, we just made like 10 grand this month, like doing this stuff. And it was like before Sound Better, before all that shit. We were posting on Craigslist. We were just really into the law of attraction and like
Yeah.
all that stuff. And like it just started happening. And like I quit drinking and, you know, I was getting paid to do sessions. I was getting paid to write songs. And then Korea happened. And I got involved with K-pop and
Yeah.
changed my life.
Okay, well, so yeah, I was gonna say because you would consider your style kind of more of K-pop. I didn't want to put that out there and say, "Oh, she's K-pop," because obviously you're many things. But so K-pop, please explain to those people that might not know what K-pop is.
K-pop is Korean pop.
Mhm.
You have huge artists like BTS, Stray Kids, TXT, Taeyeon, Twice, 17.
And it's more like boy and girl bands that are.
Well, not necessarily.
No?
It can be single artists as well.
Okay.
But you know, it's Korean pop music, and you're right. It's not all I do, but it definitely is the thing that I've done that has made me the most successful.
Right.
And the difference between regular pop and K-pop, I think I just actually did a class on studio.com teaching people like how to write for K-pop. And it's just like, you know, if you have 10 people in a group, right? Everybody wants to have their time to shine. So when you're writing a song for a K-pop group, you have to think about each individual person and give them like their little spotlight. So there's a lot of melodies, there's a lot of chants, there's a lot of things going on because everybody has to like have their little part in it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you know, Bieber, like
Yeah.
simple, you know,
Right.
not always simple, but like more simple than like all the gang vocals and all that stuff. So I learned how to write K-pop and I went to Korea and I met now she's a really good friend of mine, an A&R over at Big Hit, which is BTS's label.
Mhm.
She wasn't there. But she remembered me. And then a couple years later, she DM'd me on Instagram and was like, do you want to write for BTS? And I was like, yes. So in the last 4 years, I think I've written over 300 songs, if not more, for that label.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've gotten 3 BTS cuts and 2 TXT cuts, which is part of Big Hit. And yesterday or 2 days ago, I just got the recent BTS single called The Planet, which was really surprising and cool because I'd written that in like 2021.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now when is Todd gonna put a ring on it and get smart?
Well, Todd, like, he did. Hold on, I got to take the other one off. He did put a ring on it, but it's not an engagement ring. It's like it's a really pretty Christmas present, and
Uh-huh.
he got a wheelchair for Christmas. I made him a wheelchair with a disco ball and all these really cool lights. He's a bit older,
Right.
and I just want to be able to push him around.
Ah, that's nice. I love it. Well, so I know that Soraya is also an aspiring singer. So I know that she. Well, I hear you sing.
I
on
can sing.
on
I've
your
won
Instagram.
some money in the past. I don't know. For me, the world of singing, and I do know some like big producers and things like that, but it always scares me because I'm afraid that my addiction is going to take over. I mean, there's just a lot of just the hobnobbing and, you know, just going to different places. I think I don't trust myself, honestly, and just always being on like the forefront. You know, it's kind of like you're acting or you're having to like portray, you have to be like this
Right.
personality all the time.
Sure.
And I don't know. So I really led myself more to like worship music. And
Okay.
I sang in churches a lot. But yeah, ever since I was a little girl, same as you, like I was like, oh, I just want to be out there singing and I want to do all the things and I want to do all of that. But the older I got and the more I understood about like that world, it's just, it can either suck you up, you know, like I was going to ask you, like, how do you feel like with your drinking and stuff? Like, do you think that your addiction would have gotten worse, say, if you did actually make it like on stage? You know what I'm saying? Like if you, not that you haven't, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like say if you were Ariana
Yeah, like if I blew
Grande.
up like Lady Gaga.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Like I know my anxiety and my addiction would have been my detriment.
When I was in wedding bands and not so much the wedding bands, but the cover
Yeah.
band, I remember there was one time that I was so fucking wasted that I couldn't get the words out of my mouth while I was singing.
Wow.
And I was like, oh shit. That sucked.
Yes.
It sucked. Looking back on it, it's pretty funny, but it sucked. I don't have a problem. This is just me personally. I don't have a problem being around people who drink, being around alcohol. Like when I was, you know, sober, I would still have alcohol in my house.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a no-no in AA.
Right.
I don't think about it. It's kind of like, it's like I don't really like green beans. So if they're in
Yeah.
the fridge, I'm like,
You
you know
just
what I
never
mean?
Right.
And that's how
touch
I
'em,
feel
yeah.
about alcohol.
Right.
Never been like a pot smoker. Like I don't really love weed that much, but like every
Mhm.
now and then I will. But I
Yeah.
don't like it. Like it's not my
Right.
issue. My issues are I love a good martini. Oh, I love a good martini.
Mm.
And I love, wine, but I know how I felt when I was drinking.
Yeah.
And there was so much anxiety that the anxiety for me, like the thought of it coming back keeps
Yeah.
me away from drinking. Weird thing, which is, I don't know, a thing that I do,
Mhm.
which Todd thinks is really strange, but I smell drinks.
Okay.
Okay.
No. A lot of people do that.
Smell them.
I smell my food.
Yeah.
I mean, I smell a lot.
Well, no. A lot of people
it.
like I. There was a guy that would always do that. He was like, I'm in AA, and I wouldn't. He was a bartender, but I would be doing the
Yeah.
shots, but he would always just go, okay, and then just that was kind of good enough, and that was
Yeah.
that little whiff of goodness.
Oh, so you're saying you smell the drink just to get like the.
I just like the way they smell.
I
I'm like,
gotcha.
oh, that's
Okay,
nice,
okay.
Right.
but I don't want to drink it. Like I don't want to get drunk. I don't want to feel like that.
Yeah.
So I just don't do it. And like
Yeah.
I'm dating Liquid Todd.
Yeah, he's a lush. He's a
Well,
complete lush.
Listen, I'm slowly but surely doing my thing, and I'm like, in a couple of years, you're gonna be so cold. Like you're gonna be.
Yeah.
But he's, I honestly think he actually drinks less now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
except he has an orange juice problem.
Oh no, we've cut that down too.
Oh
Too much sugar.
Wow.
I love it. I love
He's
it.
got a good woman in his life.
Todd doesn't realize his whole show has been planned for him, and
Yeah, why don't we bring Todd in right now? Todd, hey, Liquid Todd, why don't you come take a seat? Why don't you have a seat? We got a lot of
He's
people that
actually-
care a lot about you that want to tell you some stuff.
Yeah.
I will say though, like he'll have shows and stuff, and the thing
Mhm.
that really drives me nuts about like dance music and like that whole culture is the drugs. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never done drugs, like besides smoking weed. Like I've never done coke. I've never done like X. I've never done any of those things. And like
Oh.
it drives me crazy that people think they have to do it to have a good time. Like
Yeah.
it just gets aggravating. And so when I go out with him, like if we're going to a show or something, I just don't want to be there for that long.
Right. Well,
Like,
I mean, it was
it's
part of
not-
in the 90s. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I felt like obligated to do it, but it was part of the landscape, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But why does it have to be
no,
like?
and
can't we
and now in hindsight, like I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I never really went down a dark path with other substances.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, cocaine, so I could drink more. I mean, that was drinker's companion for me.
Mhm.
But I mean, those two kind of worked in tandem together. But like the
Yeah.
other stuff, I don't know. I mean, I always saw people, and I was like, wow, man, I'm glad I'm not that guy.
Man, I've done it all. I did the ecstasy train, heroin, cocaine, like everything, and getting. I don't know, like the way that the shows are now with like these lasers and shit, dude.
Yeah.
I couldn't be fucked up to go see that.
Right?
Like these visuals, and it's a performance art. It's turning into a performance art instead
Yeah.
of just like a DJ set. And I think a lot of the people that are doing that and they're going out and getting fucked up just to listen to the music is because it's just they're trying to just change the fucking way they feel so they don't have to think about whatever it is that's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. for
It's
sure.
just and they're gonna have to deal with it one day. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then hopefully they still have the appreciation for it afterward. But I mean, I've had some badass times. I've seen some badass bands. I've been to some badass festivals. I've had some amazing times on drugs. But like the times that I go now, like when I see a show and then the guy's getting into his set and then he drops out and then it gets completely silent and then the crowd gets loud and then it comes back in with some just
No.
bizarre thing that hasn't even been released. Like it's that emotional roller coaster and once you learn how to like enjoy that sober, it's goddamn, it's incredibly different than it is like ever when because I couldn't tell you any of the fucking set that Skrillex played when I was on ketamine and fucking acid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know it was cool and he was in a spaceship, but that's about it.
So
Right.
were you.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was in a wheelchair. Hell yeah, I was in a fucking spaceship.
Right.
But now, like, going to see, because we go out a lot, and it was kind of funny the other night when we went out
Mm-hmm.
to see your people, the telecast people or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess the guy at the door.
Yes.
Telecast. Yeah.
Friends of mine.
Kyle is actually a friend of mine. He's from Rockwall. So
Really?
yeah, just go, hey man, Kelly Reverb. He'll go, oh yeah, dude, I'm down with him.
Yeah.
We got a,
Sweet.
we got a
Yeah.
K-pop cut together a
Yeah,
couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool as fuck. But yeah, we
Yeah.
went to the show the other night to go see them. And the guy, I introduced him to Kelly or whatever because I was talking to him at the door because I had seen him, and he's one of the promoter guys or whatever the fuck he does. He's super cool though. But I guess he realized who Kelly was like after the fact, because then the next time he saw us, he was like, "Hey," and put his arms around us. He was like, "Get these guys whatever they want," to the bartender, and we were like, "That's fucking cool, but we don't drink." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
He was like, "Cool, more for me then." Like, fuck yeah, dude, have at it. But that
You
shit.
ever find that people are like, "Why don't you drink?" It's like they're so curious.
Well,
Like,
okay. Here's the weird thing: is I find when people like find out I don't drink, then it's like they'll do that. They don't even realize it, but they'll just scoot their beer a little further away from me. Like just like, and I'm like, dude, please have one for me. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my mindset. If you enjoy it and you can handle it, please have one for me. But like the other thing is like, they're not going to get rid of alcohol on my behalf.
Right.
No.
So it's just like you learn to deal with it, and it's like you kind of learn to deal with people that smoke and vape. You just
Hell
it,
yeah.
it is what it is. It's part of the fabric of society, and if you're okay with being around it, and you and I mean as a DJ, I have to be okay with being around it because it's not like I'm just going to go play sober gigs
Yeah.
everywhere or anything like that.
Right.
So how do you handle that? Like if you're DJing, right, and you have like promoters that come up to you and just like kind of give you a bag of Coke, are you just like,
Right.
"I'm good"?
No,
Like how do you?
I
handle
take it and I sell it. No, I'm just come on, I'm a businessman.
That's
No,
right.
right. No, I used to do that when people would hand me hits of ecstasy while I was like DJing. I would just put them in my pocket, and then at like Winter Music
Yeah.
Conference,
Yeah.
me and one of my buddies, who I will not name, but
Okay.
but Liquid Todd knows him well. But I go, dude, we have like 10 hits of X. We're gonna do them all right now, dude, tonight. So just a little grab bag
Yeah.
from all over the state. But for the most part, I really didn't, like the other stuff. Like I kind of stayed away, and now especially, it's really scary with the whole fentanyl thing. Like
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
that shit can be like 2 milligrams and you're done.
Right. And
I'm too much of a control freak for that shit. Like I don't want anything that's gonna make me feel a different. If I'm drinking, that's one thing, because then if I get too drunk, I can just throw it up and start over.
Right.
Yeah.
Same. I'll just eat
I'm
a whole
good.
pizza.
No, she'll
you know?
Soraya will eat nachos.
Yes, I used to eat like salsa and chips and just drink all night
Yeah.
until I fell asleep. That's all I did, But you're right. It's that control thing. I mean, that's exactly what I had told Kelly. I was like, I know I can throw up. I mean, but it's like one time I tried smoking weed and I was like, I don't like this. And I don't even know how to get it out of my system.
You don't. That's the
Right.
thing. Like
Right.
I'll do it every now and then, but like I really just don't like it. Like
Yeah.
I don't find it fun. I eat everything in my fridge, and then I'm like, and now I
Yeah.
feel fat. Like there's no good really that comes from it for me. So I just like, eh. But going back to the whole panic attack thing, like, so I started taking Xanax when I was 16, and everyone's always like, "Oh, don't get hooked on Xanax. Don't get hooked on Xanax." I'm like, I've had the same bottle for like a year. You know what I mean? But if
Right.
I'm on a plane and I'm feeling like I'm gonna fucking die, I'm definitely taking a Xanax.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Right.
Hell yeah. I mean, I'm like, yeah, if you can take it and if you actually need it, man, I get it. Because when you're at that level 10 panic attack,
Yes.
I mean, not everybody knows what that feels like.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know y'all do.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
it's pretty
Or-
gnarly,
Yeah, not fun.
especially on a plane, man.
Yeah. And where you're trapped and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I used to have
Yeah.
them so bad that I wouldn't even take like my Ativan because I was afraid that my Ativan was going to kill me. And then because the panic attacks are just like a mind fuck,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you you're trying to like hold on to reality and you can't. And I would be like, just take me to the hospital because at least then they can monitor me while they pump me up
well,
with
I would
you
do,
know?
I would actually do that, like go and just hang out in the emergency room parking lot for a little bit,
you're
just
right
in
there.
case. Yeah.
Yes.
Or just drive up to the fire station
Yeah.
in case I drop dead.
Right. That's a good idea though.
Well, hey,
It really
you know,
is.
yeah. Well,
Meditation helps a lot. Meditation, yoga,
Yeah.
exercise, like that kind of stuff.
yeah, a lot
has
of
been
mindfulness and breathing, because like
Yeah.
that's the one thing. You're basically hyperventilating when you're having an anxiety attack and you're not breathing properly, and people don't like, it's just like people tell you when you're having a panic
Yeah.
attack, oh, just breathe. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
You have no idea.
I'm dying here. Don't you know that?
It's gonna be okay.
No, it's
like the
not.
last thing you want is someone to tell you to breathe and then to try to give you a hug. I'm like, get off me. Get off,
Yes.
get off me.
Yeah. But you're right, meditation and like the mindfulness, and then I also got into like Reiki and stuff, and so like energy
yeah.
healing, and so like cutting cords for me is huge. Like I definitely notice a big difference when I like cut cords, you know, like whether I do it in the morning or at night, or even just when I'm starting to feel like my energy off, you know. And I think whether you believe in it or not, I think it's just a matter of letting our minds have control over our situations or our feelings, or acknowledging them rather than pushing them off and like, you know, then having to deal with the outcome of pushing it off later, because now it's like this huge wave of just feelings and emotions and what the fuck and triggers, and then we're drinking or we're using or whatever to, you know, get out of it. But yeah, the meditation and yoga, huge. I'm with you on that.
I'm
I
all
don't
about
make
I'm all
that
about
like
that
that.
stuff. But I saw a funny tweet the other day
Let's
that
hear
was
it.
talking about some of this stuff. And it was like, I just know somewhere there's a dumb bitch with a rock on her forehead trying to absorb the moon's energy, and that shit made me
And
laugh
that would
so
be
hard,
me.
dude. That shit made me laugh so hard.
Hello, moon.
I had to pull it up so I didn't mess it up.
Yeah, I heard Todd's into perennial sunning. do you even know what perennial
that?
perennial
No.
sunning? Look it up, dude.
Now I have to look it up.
Yeah, it's about that root chakra and getting sunshine on it.
Okay.
It's called perennial sunning. It's a California thing.
Very interesting.
Okay, got it.
You didn't know you wanted to
I
say
can't even
that.
get him to take his shirt off. I'm like, can we go to the gym? So I convinced him to come to the gym with me yesterday.
Hold
he
on.
said no.
Does Liquid
And
Todd wear socks to bed?
Yes.
I love that. I love that
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
The imagery in
Yeah.
your
That is hilarious. Okay, so I do have a question for somebody that's out there that's wanting to get into a career of singing, because there's a lot of people out there and they don't really have any direction. What kind of advice would you recommend for them?
I mean, it's different if you want to sing or if you want to write songs. I'd say if you want to write songs, to do it every single day. I would also say that like no one's going to do anything for you. Like
Yeah.
people think that they're just going to open their mouth and they're going to sing or they're going to write a song and then they're going to instantly get a record deal, a publishing deal, a manager, all of those things. And like maybe you will, but that wasn't my experience. And like I'm glad it wasn't, because I had to learn how to do all of these things myself. I had to learn how to promote my music. I had to learn how to make relationships with A&Rs. I had to learn how to get myself into sessions with the producers and writers and artists I wanted to be in sessions with. And then I started a company, the House of Creativity. And then last year I learned how to throw songwriting camps.
Right.
You know, and we're doing our next one in June with BMG. Like we're doing a sync songwriting
Well,
camp.
give that a plug. Like, give that a plug if somebody wants to. What is it that you actually offer at that camp, and then where can they get a hold of you?
So it's invite only, but you can always email me. I have a website. It's thehouseofcreativity.com, and it's HAUS. So
House.
the House
Haas.
of Creativity.
It's like German, like like Baja.
Like a
Bougie.
mouthside is.
But we pay our creatives to come, and normally it's the other way around. But like
Right.
we make sure that everyone's taken care of. Like the last one we did at Alicia Keys' house in New Jersey in October, we paid for their flights, their hotel, their catering, their, a stipend for them to come out. Like I'm really big into, compensating songwriters up front, because I know what it feels like to not be.
Right.
And it's shitty.
Right.
And
yeah.
I want to change that. That's like one of my big goals for the House of Creativity is to change the way that people view songwriters and how they compensate us.
Yeah, you're like a safe space for the music industry, honestly, because there's just so many people that can like take advantage of you, you know, and because you've learned all these different areas, they can't really fuck with you. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And then you can build these safe
Well-
spaces for these other creatives that are coming, you know, that are coming up and coming out and out of the womb, right? You know what I mean?
I also have a great lawyer.
There
So
you go. That's
I
always
love
good.
that. Yeah, that's the most important,
He's
right?
I got my lawyer because he was a musician and he was going to law school during this time, but he wanted me to write him a song. So I wrote him a song.
Yeah.
And then I started picking his brain up until he like, you know, passed the bar, and then he passed the bar and I'm like, you're like my lawyer now. You're my lawyer now.
By the way,
So
Right.
yeah, and so he's been my lawyer, and I gotta be honest, like thank God for him and the low
Yeah.
price I pay.
right.
So
Sure.
Well, and then okay, so and then also I like to ask this question: what advice would you give to somebody like that's out there struggling with substance abuse?
honestly, find someone you trust and go to a meeting.
Right. Okay.
I also think, you know, my view of substance abuse and alcoholism has changed over the years, and I used to think that people needed to be sat down and had like you had to give them an intervention, and you had to be like, I'm not going to be there for you anymore if you don't stop doing this shit.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that anymore. Like I think that for me, like reading all these books on substance abuse and dealing with my parents and all of that stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way to help someone is to love them.
Yes.
You know, and it doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, but it also I don't agree with abandoning people anymore. And I think that
Mhm.
has a lot to do with my relationships, personal relationships with people that are struggling with substance abuse. Like I see the pain they go through, and like I only had the context of my parents, you know, and when you
Right.
have parents that are alcoholics, you are mad at them because they're supposed to be your safe space.
Right.
Mhm.
But in the relationships I have with other people, like romantically and friendship wise, like I've learned a lot because people need love and like they need that support, and there's something lacking in all of us that we wanted to fill it with booze and drugs, and we need
sure.
to figure out what that is for us to get better.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said.
That
well
hopeless that hopeless state of mind and body, I believe, is what we recovered from, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what I had, and
Yeah.
I've never heard it worded so well. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is, like, yeah, we support all pathways to recovery, but like a solid like what 80 something, maybe 90 something % of people,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that they recommend is 12-step stuff.
Well, and the reason why I think honestly is because 12-step is everywhere. So that's the easiest, most accessible game. Like if you go to like some podunk town, like
Yeah.
you know, Dime Box, Texas, or whatever, they have an AA
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
And it's the most accessible. But you know, if you can, you know, find a meeting that's a good fit for you, then you know why not? And you know, I mean, you had to do some searching around, right, Krista? Like as far as finding a meeting that you liked.
Before I came to LA, I did, and I
Uh-huh.
didn't find one I liked, and then I came here and I talked to people in the music business,
Uh huh.
Mhm.
and they gave me the recommendation for the meeting that I went to that I loved.
Oh,
So it was
see?
easy when I got here. I just asked other people where they went.
Right. Yeah. So it's like a little trial and
Yeah.
error, and that's what I kind of tell people. You know, not every meeting is a good fit for that person, you know, or that
Yeah.
personality type, so to
Mhm.
speak. But any questions for her, Chadwick, or
Man, no, this has been
Chad actually wants to be in a boy band,
Hell
so
yeah.
it's gonna
I
be
can help you, Chad.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
She's got you. He sings like a meadowlark. I
We
mean,
should
it's beautiful.
duet,
He
Chad.
sings. He sings like
I've been called the songbird of my generation
a,
before.
he sings like a little angel.
I used to take ecstasy because it makes me a better dancer, but now I just sing because I have this angelic wings that come out behind my back.
Like canary.
I make people feel good. No, I don't sing.
But anyway, so that was weird and awkward. I love it.
All of it.
Hey, well, Krista, I appreciate you coming on the show, taking the time dealing with the old audio issues. But
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and then where again, if they want to follow you on social media, like what's your preferred platform that they follow you on?
Instagram, and you can just Google me. It's KRYSTAYOUNGS, and I'm literally the only one in the entire world. So
with
Sweet.
with Youngs being plural.
That's awesome.
I like it. All right. Well, thanks again. I appreciate you coming on. Hey, guys, be sure and tune in next week. We actually have Dave from the Dopey podcast.
Sweet.
He's going to be fun.
Yeah.
He will be on the show next week. And thanks, guys, for coming out. I appreciate y'all's time.
Yes.
And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.